the worst flare I've ever had from ankylosing spondylitis, and it's not even close. So I want to share what happened to me the past few weeks. I want to hear from people on this because I do think kind of the flare was related to a virus I had, a virus I got from my daughter, kind of a weird virus that she brought home from daycare that I got. And it, to start off with, kind of what I think happened is I got this virus. I was pretty sick for 5 days. I was so tired, fatigued. That was kind of my main symptoms, just fatigue, so tired. I was sweating overnight. I was just like chronically dehydrated. And then, the body started to the joints started to kill me while I was sick. And this is something I've talked about over the years. I've had some weird symptoms with different sicknesses. Sometimes I have no spondylitis symptoms when I'm sick with something. Other times I have the worst spondylitis symptoms. So it started off with this virus, wasn't feeling good, 5 days. And, when I started to feel better, I got back into the gym and I was trying to get back into my routine, but I just didn't feel right. And, that line of balance where we got to figure out how hard to work out, how should we ease off, should we rest? When we rest, it can make it worse. When we work out too hard, it can make it worse. So I tried to get back into my routine. I tried to get back to basketball, and something happened. I overdid it in the worst probably time possible. So my low back started to just kill me. I just overdid it. My low back was killing me. I mean, waking me up in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., couldn't get back to sleep, couldn't lay down, had to get up. The problem was the low back was immovable. I couldn't even, like a cat-cow or a downward dog, I couldn't do it. I could not stretch the low back. It was too painful. I more had to move around the house and try to loosen it up that way, but it would not fully loosen. So something that happens to me is this domino effect. When one thing's bothering me, say the low back's bothering me, it then usually turns into sciatica because the low back's out of position. I'm limping around. The nerve gets irritated. This is what's happened to me over the years. The sad thing is, before this kind of weird virus, I was feeling really good. I think the last video I made was me feeling, pretty good. I was feeling great. My fitness level's probably the highest it's been in a very long time. So the low back started to really bother me. Then I got sciatica, and man, the sciatica was so bad. Because I couldn't get my low back moving, the sciatica was really bad, and I had a really hard time getting rid of it. So I was limping around even more. Then I got costochondritis, that chest tightness. It seemed like I kept pulling things because I was, in so much pain limping around that I kept tweaking things. The inside of my leg, just turning over in bed was so hard that I was using all of my energy just to turn over, and I kept pulling things, kept pulling my chest muscles, inside of my leg. An absolute mess. I can't even explain it. An absolute mess. So the domino effect, and I'm going to try to give some tips with this video so it's not just, doom and gloom, but I'd like to share the true experiences of AS, the true experiences. This ain't, I've never talked about remission or curing anything. I've talked about how we keep going with it. We have these things, we have to keep going. And what I do during these times, what I do before these times are so important, because something like this, I was down and out. And when this goes away, I need to be able to get back into my routine, stay strong, stay flexible, because during this time, I could barely move. I mean, truthfully, during this time, it kind of felt like everything I did before this doesn't matter. I just couldn't move. I could not loosen up my low back. The sciatica was horrible. It was more about just mentally, how do I get through this and get to the other side of it? Because it was from a virus, a weird thing where I got really sick and the body just was so inflamed, and the domino effect. So I want to hear from people on, has this happened to you with flares and viruses? Have you gotten sick and has it caused a extreme flare? Have you gotten a flare where it started in one area and then it kind of spread? It just kind of felt like all over. For me, it felt like everything was the muscles were pulled. I had muscle cramps, fatigue, my shins hurt, my hamstrings, my hip, like it really seems like everything. My ribs were really affected from the costochondritis. Then my neck got tight. I think a really hard part of AS is we deal with such tightness that if something is thrown off, if the low back's in pain, it causes this domino effect. It's really hard to get out of it, and we have to do our best to relax the body and not stress it. And that's something that's so hard to do when you're dealing with so much pain. You're just trying to be functional. It's hard to just work on the breathing and work on relaxing. Like for me, it seemed impossible just to loosen up. It was more about resting and working on breathing exercises and very light exercise. This was a time not to exercise, and I really think me exercising when I just wasn't feeling great set this off. So I want to hear from people on this. Have viruses caused you to go into flares? And lastly, I think this is why it's so important to strength train and obviously work on the flexibility. Again, like I said, like during this time, it was very hard for me to do anything, but this has been such a hard time that when this passes, I need to have a good fitness level, or else it's going to be really hard to get going. So I have a good fitness level I've been strength training, I've been working on the flexibility. All of that's going to return. So what I try to tell myself is just get through this time. This is like a really unprecedented flare where just like everything was affected at once. I've had all these symptoms on their own. Low back pain where it wakes me up, but it's usually just the low back. I've had stuff in the ribs where my ribs get affected, but it's usually just the ribs. Or I get sciatica, it's usually just sciatica. Or the costochondritis, I get that, but on its own. This time, it was everything together. It was like I couldn't just focus on one thing. Everything hit me at once, which is crazy. So I want to hear from people on this. Let me know. All we can do is get through it, keep going in any way we can, mentally keep going in any way we can. We get through it, we get to the other side, and we keep going, we keep pushing forward. See you next time.